Hello, my name is Joselyn Lua and I'm your host for today's episode of In the Studio. I'm excited because today we're going to be talking about fashion. Specifically, we'll be meeting a designer of the future. Her name is Susan Huey and she's originally from Fresno, California. She came to UC Davis to pursue a degree in fashion and design. Hi, Susan, how are you?
I'm good, how are you doing?
So I want to start off by asking you, where did it all begin? How did it start, your passion for fashion?
So I learned how to use a sewing machine when I was about 15 years old. My mom just taught me and was like, here's your sewing machine, go for it. And so before then, I would sew everything by hand. I would take bed sheets, pillowcases, and just, hand sew everything. So once I started the sewing machine, that was in high school. So then from there, I started taking fashion classes that were offered in my high school. I joined a lot of fashion clubs on campus, and then I participated in fashion competitions. And so that was kind of my starting point for sewing. And then now I am studying design here at UC Davis, and so then I'm continuing my career in fashion.
What was your first project as a student in high school?
In high school? Yeah. In high school, I tried to make a dress out of a pattern. So I went to Joann's and I bought a pattern and I was like, I'm gonna make this dress. And it completely did not turn out the way I wanted to. I had no knowledge, no skills with sewing, and it just did not work out. But I mean, it was a fun learning experience. Then when I started taking classes, that's when I started, making my prom dress, my winter formal dress, and that's when I started participating in fashion competitions. And so that's when I became more knowledgeable in fashion and sewing.
Okay. Earlier today we were seeing a green dress that you made. It should be displayed right now on the screen. And you said you entered that for a competition in the fair?
Yeah, so that was one of my first dresses that I made. I entered it in the county fair, in Fresno County Fair, and so that was my junior year of high school, and I really liked the whole, the green satin material, and I decided, hey, why not just make a dress? So that one I entered into the fair.
Can we see the next dress in the screen? What was that for? What was the inspiration behind the white dress and the bow? I see a bow in the middle. Do you like making bows?
Bows are kind of like my signature. I like to put bows on everything I make. But this one was my senior year, my winter formal dress. Mm-hmm. And so this is what I wore for that.
Next dress, please. The pink one. It's beautiful. I like the pearls and everything you did with it.
And another bow. So this one, I actually made it for one of my friend's birthdays. This is, I used a commercial pattern for this one only because I was so scared to mess up because this was for someone. Mm-hmm. It was like my first dress that I made, particularly for someone and not for myself, so I really couldn't mess up. Mm-hmm. So for that one, I mean, it was a fun project, and my friend really liked it, so
that's good. And I also heard that you did your first prom dress too?
Yeah.
It was for the teal?
Yeah, so this is my prom dress for senior year. As you can see, I like using satin. All my dresses, I tend to use satin material. Mm-hmm. And for that dress, I sat there. So on the shoulder, there are all these little flower petals. Mm-hmm. That I sat there and I cut with scissors. So there are about 60 flower petals just kind of cascading on the shoulder. Yeah. So I had a lot of fun making that dress, and it turned out really well.
As an undergraduate, what was your first dress?
As an undergraduate student, my first dress, was a dormal. So we had an event freshman year for people living in the dorms, and so for that event we dressed up. It was almost like a senior ball, but for college students. And so for that one, I was like, oh, there's my chance to make a dress. And so I, on my dorm floor, I was sewing my dress, and so that one I had it was a black satin dress, one shoulder, and I had a bow on this side. Yeah. And so that one. It was fun. I made it in a couple of days because it was in the midst of midterms and things like that. But I mean, it was fun.
So for anyone, what would you recommend for going out to prom or homecoming or formal for the community? What would be the ideal gown that you would say?
Ideal gown?
Yeah.
I mean, it's always on what the person likes, about their personality, just different things, like if they like a certain material, if they like jewels or certain types of fabrics. It's just based on their personality and what they feel comfortable in. Mm-hmm. That's kind of the deciding factor for what they should wear for any occasion.
Okay. So every year Davis has a picnic day, and you entered the fashion show for the picnic day. Can you tell us more about that and What was your first gown that you entered?
Yeah, so the first dress I made for in college is for the UC Davis Picnic Day fashion show. And so every year the design department showcases a collection for the seniors, and also there's a portion of the show that is for undergraduate students. So they're allowed to compete in two different categories, the personal expression or sustainability. So what I did in the personal expression portion of it, so I decided to make this blue high-low dress, and I decided to sit there and put like 1,100 little rhinestones on the dress. I remember spending 7 hours just, placing all these little rhinestones on it. But yeah,
so I can see that it has like a heart shape in the top, and then it has a, how do you call the opening from the knees to the floor?
The high-low dress.
The high-low dress. Okay.
Yeah, so from that picture, so I'm really into the whole sweetheart like design of a dress, and then the high-low effect of it. So what I did, I tried to place the rhinestones on the sweetheart, and then had the rhinestones kind of cascade at the waist, and then align the whole bottom of the dress.
That's nice to hear. And what was the next dress that you entered for the Picnic Day show? I believe it's also a family-friendly event, so anyone in the Davis community could come.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, yeah, the Picnic Day is open to anyone. It's usually on Saturday, and a lot of departments on campus just puts on, different shows, different events going on. And so design department specifically puts on the fashion show every single year. And so my next dress for that one was the paper crane dress. And so the paper crane dress, like what we have here, so this one, what I did, I really like the idea of origami cranes, and so this is based off of the Japanese legend, which if you make 1,000 paper cranes, you're granted one wish. So that's kind of my inspiration for this dress, and it was more of an collaborative dress because I had a lot of friends come and help me and to make this dress. So what I did, that inside a lot of the cranes, they wrote their own personal wish, and then they folded it up and they put it on the dress. So I had about 45 people help me with this.
Wow.
And so all their wishes are kind of just scattered on the bottom of the dress.
Do you know how long it took to make the dress? Or
the folding part of the dress, it took 4.5 months to fold 1,000 cranes.
Wow.
So yeah, and it actually weighs a lot, but all the 1,000 paper cranes are just kind of stuck on the dress right now.
And what inspired you to do the color changing?
Yeah, so I have the ombre effect starting just kind of from the top going all the way to the bottom. I was actually just looking at different color schemes that would work well. It was more of the warm colors or the cool colors, and I decided to pick more of this kind of red fuchsia ombre effect of it. I'm just really drawn to the colors, and I really like how the light pink flows into the dark purple onto the bottom. So I just really like the effect of that.
Okay. So I also heard that you did your first collection here in Davis. Can you tell us more about that? I heard it was for the SFA. What does SFA stand for?
So the SFA is Student Fashion Association. It's a club on campus, fashion oriented, and so every year they also put on an annual fashion show. And so for that one, I made my first collection, and it infuses both of my American culture and then my Chinese heritage. So for that collection, I made 4 garments for that one, and it incorporated a lot of brocade fabrics that you would normally see in Chinese clothing, and then it also incorporated more of the American modern styles of it. And so I just had my first collection then. That was my sophomore year in college here, and so that was my first collection that I showcased.
Did anything in Davis inspire you, the environment? There's a lot of nature here. Because I know you used really bright colors like pink, purple. What other colors did you use?
So yeah, so that collection was very, it's more of the spring aspect of it. And so it was, that fashion show happened in April. And so because of that, spring was coming. I like the vibrant colors, and also because Chinese people, we tend to favor more of the bright colors, red and gold represents, good luck and wealth. So my dresses had the bright reds, the hot pinks, the blues, and the greens. And so I incorporated that into my collection.
Can we display the purple dress? And this is her first dress?
So yeah, so this one, I hand painted the waist of it, and so I try to incorporate more of the Chinese embroideries, Chinese designs into it, and so that was that dress.
The next image should be the back of the dress.
Yeah.
It's a V shape. And can you talk about the detail in the middle?
Yeah, so I wanted to do something very open back, very delicate, and so it's kind of hard to see on camera, but I hand beaded and like hand detailed the whole back of it, and so it was really nice on the back because the beads hung in like a cascading way, so when she walked it moved with her, and so the back is detailed that way.
And then the next dress is a blue one.
So this one was the second dress in my collection. On the top you can see the brocade fabric, so that's what you normally see in Chinese culture. And then just incorporate more of that fun kind of American way, so it has the fuller skirt and the tulle underneath it.
And behind the dress is also open back.
So I was leaning more towards the open back for this collection. So it's just, it shows more of that fun and playfulness of the dress, but I mean on the front it's still more, subtle, more sophisticated.
The next dress I believe is longer, and it also is a high-low.
So this one was another one of my high-low dresses. It also incorporates the brocade fabric on the top of it, and then I paired it with the chiffon on the bottom. It flows really well, when she walks, so that's why I paired it together.
And the back of it is also an open back.
So
very beautiful.
Thank you.
The next dress is red.
Yeah, so this one, this was the last dress of my collection. On the bottom of the dress, it's hand-painted gold paint on it, and it symbolizes good luck and wealth.
And that's the back of it. It follows a beautiful design in the bottom and on the shoulder. I like the gold. The next dress is pink, and you're wearing it.
Oh yeah, so this one was for the International Festival that happens here annually in Davis. And so there was a portion of the festival that was for the fashion show. And so people were allowed to go in and just, display different cultures and ethnicities. And so what I did, I took my collection, I displayed it at the fashion show, and I also made one more to go with the collection. And so this one I incorporated also the brocade, and then the bottom was chiffon fabric.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Now I would like to know about the kombucha. So we were talking earlier about it, and I hear that it's a new type of fabric, right? Can you elaborate more on that?
Yeah, so I interned for a designer for Sacramento Fashion Week last year, and so she grows her own fabric. It's crazy, but she actually uses kombucha tea, and then she grows her own fabric from there, and it becomes it's funny because she grows it in her garage, but it becomes this kind of like pliable material that if you let it dry out in the sun, it becomes something that you can work with, and she creates clothes out of it. So it's exciting. It's crazy to think that she grows her own fabric, and it was really fun to work with that kind of material.
Can you describe like the feeling of it? How does it feel like?
Yeah, so it starts off with the kombucha tea, and then if you let it ferment and sit into the tub, of the fabric and let it grow, it becomes this kind of jelly-like fabric. It looks very jelly-like a jellyfish, and if you let it sit out in the sun, it becomes more flexible, more pliable, but it almost feels like plastic leather. Yeah, but if you're not careful with it, you can tear it, but if you layer it even more, it becomes more of like a stronger, stiffer material.
And how many dresses did you help make out of kombucha?
So so for her Sacramento Fashion Week collection, she did 12 garments. So it was based off on the 4 elements: earth, fire, water, and wind. And so just little details, if there was like hand sewing or any buttons to put on, things like that, I would help her with that. And I also made one of the designs for the collection.
Okay. Can we display the dress with the black? Yeah, that. Is that the fire?
Yeah, so this one is for the fire element. It was called the smoke and mirrors dress. So on the top of the dress, the corset portion of it, that is made from kombucha. So that was all cut into like flame-like shapes, and that was hand sewed to the bodice. And then the bottom, it was almost we kind of broke mirrors and had this kind of cascading thing on the bottom. And then the bottom, it's supposed to represent smoke, so like the fire and smoke.
And then the next one was inspired more by water?
Yeah, so this one's for the water. This one was more fun and playful. On the bottom, there were just little twirls of like tulle that are on it. So that was a really fun one to work on too.
Nice. Now, can you talk about a little bit of like some of the classes you've taken here in Davis? Like, what have you learned from them? Has it inspired you in your career?
Well, starting off in Davis, my first sewing class was actually last year. So it was like a beginning sewing class, just learning how to make patterns, learning how to, do simple things like pockets, put in zippers and things like that. So that class definitely helped me, just expand my knowledge on sewing. Mm-hmm. So that was my first sewing class. And in that class, our first project was to make an interview jacket. And so it was really fun. Everything that we learned in that class worked up to that jacket. And then for my other classes, I've learned how to, drape. So it was more of like draping dresses and using lighter weight fabrics and working with that. And also I've taken a fashion illustration class. Definitely learned how to draw, figures, things you would see in magazines, sketches like that. And then I just recently, this past quarter, I took a screen printing class. And so that I learned how to dye my own fabrics and learn how to use pigments to, decorate the fabrics.
Davis is really big about going green and saving and recycling. And I know that you made a dress for your sustainability class. Mm-hmm. Is that true? Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so I took an experimental fashion class over the summer. And one of the projects was to create something out of paper. Just entirely out of paper. Mm-hmm. And so what I did, I only used magazines and brown paper bags, like the ones you get at Save-Mart and Trader Joe's. So what I did, I cut little squares of brown paper bags and I folded them into triangles, and I kind of like strategically placed it on like the dress form and made this dress out of it. And then I took magazine papers and then rolled it up and then kind of made this like cage like structure to go like on top of it. I mean, it's definitely not wearable, but I mean, it's more like a art piece.
Yeah, and it's all like products that you recycled and used, right?
Yeah, so I didn't have to pay for anything for any of the materials. It was just all the brown paper bags I collected in Davis and the magazines that I've been having.
Can we display the dress? And that is the dress right there.
Yeah, so you can see I try to fold all the little triangles and place it on the dress form. And then on top of that, I kind of created this cage to go on top of it, just kind of encasing the whole entire dress.
Pretty nice. Now, can we finally talk about your experience as costume designer, like helping out in the costume shop in the department of UC Davis, right?
Yes. So for the theater and dance department, they have their Enchanted Cellar, which is like a costume shop. We do rentals, we design and we curate and we alter all the clothing for the theater productions that happen on campus. And so I started that my sophomore year. So I'm in my third year right now working at the costume shop. And so from there, we've worked on many productions and helped out with a lot of things like that. And it's just been a really fun experience just seeing all the costumes that come in and out and see it, presented on stage, to see our work, being displayed. It's so much fun.
This costume was Snow White?
Yes, so this one was for a Halloween rental. So we normally do Halloween rentals during Halloween. And so this one was a Snow White costume that I worked on. Mm-hmm. And so that was really fun.
And that's the cape did you also work on the cape, or
yeah,
was it just like...
So a lot of the aspects of the dress, like putting the trim on the bottom and working on the cape, I did a lot of that. And so this is another piece that we just recently worked at the costume shop. It's for the Game of Thrones. Mm-hmm. And so that's a big TV show that's happening now. Yeah. So we're working on the costumes for that for next year Halloween rentals. And so you can see like the details that go into the costumes that we make, a lot of hand sewing and just, meticulously placing everything. And so, I learned a lot from here, learned a lot of tailoring and patterning and just what goes into the costume.
So Davis fashion, I would like to talk about, if you could give an advice to everyone, the citizens here in Davis community, what would be one thing that they should have in their closet?
To have in their closet?
Yeah.
For Davis, for weather-wise, rain boots. I'm going to say rain boots. That's the one necessity I need when it rains here in Davis because, when it rains, it pours. So, definitely having rain boots is a good thing to have in your closet.
How about for the summer?
For the summer, definitely the weather, it gets pretty hot here in Davis. Shorts is always, a good necessity to have. t-shirts, anything just kind of breezy, airy, that's really good for weather, because I mean it just gets above 100 degrees here, but I mean anything comfortable, anything breezy, that's good.
For the students?
For the students, definitely, as a student, you want that UC Davis sweatshirt, something that has the UC Davis logo on it. So, I mean, just having a sweatshirt like that, it's kind of, it's cool to say like, oh, I'm a UC Davis student, I'm part of the Aggies. And so having that's really cool.
Is there any other project that you are going to be working on this year, or?
Yeah, so I'm in my last year here in Davis, and so for the seniors, we do our senior collection. So this is what is showcasing at the Picnic Day Fashion Show. Mm-hmm. And so I am in the midst of planning and sketching and designing for my senior collection that will be presented in April.
Wow, what's the inspiration behind that? I think you were talking about that it's going to be about flowers, or...
Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to incorporate biomimicry and sustainability into my collection. So trying to mimic and replicate like nature's ways. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to incorporate botanical gardens into my designs. And so I wanted to kind of replicate like flowers and their petals, kind of do structural garments and flowy garments at the same time. So I'm starting that, so that should be fun.
Did you take a walk in the Arboretum to, look at the flowers? Or?
Definitely. I mean, the Arboretum is right in the backyard of Davis. Mm-hmm. And so I'm always there just kind of, dazing off. But I mean, I love the Arboretum, just taking a walk in there. And they have, such a variety of species that are there. And so looking at everything, it's been an inspiration just to definitely just walk through there and be like, oh, I kind of want to incorporate that into my collection. So I've actually taken pictures that I've seen in the arboretums of like leaves and flowers and things like that. So that will be incorporated into my collection.
Lastly, I want to talk about a red dress that you've made.
Mm-hmm. It's
supposed to be for the picnic day as well. And what was the inspiration behind that one? Because I heard it's about heart diseases.
Yes.
Raising awareness.
Mm-hmm. So the red dress that I created, it was... for one of my classes that I took last year. It's in partnership with the UC Davis Women's Cardiovascular Medicine Program, along with the Department of Design. And so we collaborated in making a red dress collection to raise awareness, to show that heart disease is the #1 leading cause of death for women. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of students just designed their own dresses for this collection. And so what I did, I try to incorporate the style, the heart shape with the sweetheart design on the dress, along with these kind of godets on the bottom, which kind of represent, like mimic the veins. Because if you look up close on the fabric, it kind of has these like vein-like structures to it. Yeah. And so I try to incorporate that and tie in like the whole heart into the dress.
Mm-hmm. That's really pretty. I liked it.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Susan, so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you
for having me. I hope to see you soon. So if you would like to have more information on Susan Huey, you can visit her website, which will be displayed right now on the screen. And if you would like to see any other videos on the studio, you can visit our website, which is dctv.davismedia.org. And this has been Joselyn Lua. Thank you for watching In the Studio with Davis Media Access.